Hello guys, and we all know unpunished evil grows, and in our case it results in more and more wars and conflicts around the world. And this axis of evil, Russia, North Korea, Iran, China, tries to create more problems on the planet. So what is the way to stop this evil, to punish it and to demilitarize the way we do it? And last night was very loud in Crimea. Literally dozens of locations were neutralized, and all because this beautiful peninsula, designed by God to be a resort which you can visit in future after it is liberated, right now is a rusty Soviet-style military base with a lot of improvised air bases, arsenals, and other evil locations that Russians use to target Ukrainian cities with Shaheds, with Iskander missiles, and many more. So by targeting these locations, we actually bring the victory closer and make all these territories safer. What is interesting, last night, Ukrainian drones reached deep inside Russia, actually very close to Moscow, and for the second time, perhaps in this month, visited their technopark Rezonit, where they produce electronics for various modern weapons. Because those of you who follow the updates of the Russian war in Ukraine, the Ukrainian creativity to demilitarize complex targets inside Russia, might have noticed that the warfare is very different from what it was even in 2022. So let's talk about all of that in the video. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the demilitarization and defeat of Russia, subscribe, because we all know that's the only working peace plan. And please, in the comments below, let me know, do you think that that escalation management approach that was chosen back in 2014 with Crimea was the right solution and resulted in, well, from my Ukrainian point of view, it resulted in the full-scale war, because Putin did not take it seriously and actually read it as the green light to continue invading Ukraine and former unlucky countries of the Soviet Union that he still considers to be a part of the monstrous imperial Frankenstein. Nobody wants back to the USSR, nor in Ukraine, nor in the Baltics, and trust me, we know how to end that monster, but just let's be united. That is super vital for the victory of the good, and we need it not just for Europe, but for the whole world, because you see, in many different parts of the world, more and more wars and conflicts arise. And trust me, Russia invests a lot of money, of technologies, of people to create these troubles and conflicts around the world. The alliance between Iran and Russia is not a secret. Iranian drones were tested on Ukrainians during these years. And I am sure that Russia also supplied them with a lot of information on the nuclear programs. But let's return back to the Crimea. And explosions were heard all over the peninsula, in particular in the cities Simferopol, Yevpatoria, Sevastopol, Saky, Alushta, Perevalne, Feodosia, Kacha, and unfortunately almost all of these settlements are now military air bases, arsenals, or the locations of various Russian troops. I wonder why you never ask me if I have ever been to Crimea, and the answer is yes, but only once in 2001 to participate in the Ukrainian National Olympics in the English language. It was in March, it was very windy, and I like the location because it's really close to Chersones, and that is an ancient city with Greek roots in the Crimea. So no, Crimea is not Russian. It's not a forever Russian land. It's an extremely diverse, beautiful territory that wants to be Ukrainian, that wants to be with its people, Crimean Tatars, and that wants in future to be a resort that you will visit. So all of these military bases in Crimea are in danger. We have destroyed a lot of aircraft there, and good news, today Russia targeted their own Su-25. Actually, they've destroyed a lot of their own aircraft, of their own systems with this friendly fire, and I don't mind as long as they do a good job for us. Remember to share these videos if you share my opinion, and subscribe to demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine. We can observe everything that Russian invaders are doing in Kerch, in Crimea, because it's part of Ukraine, and satellite images, intelligence, and people who want their land to be back to Ukraine report a lot of interesting information. So right now they want to turn an airbase in Kerch, which was civilian, into another airfield to target Ukraine with drones. An important fact that many forget when they follow Donald Trump's BS, who says maybe we should acknowledge Crimea as Russian. First of all, that will be a deadly precedent, not just for Ukraine, but a lot of countries that live, let's say, next to China, next to Russia. And this will simply ruin all the world order that we still use on the planet. But second and more practical is the fact that they use Crimea as a military base, as a point to target their drones, to target Iskander missiles, and many more on different cities that are located close to that territory. For example, Odessa constantly suffers from drone attacks. They've developed a new Dan-M drone that has some reactive features, and it can fly not a very long distance, but from Crimea to Odessa it can get. So actually, by demilitarizing this territory, by returning Crimea to Ukraine, we protect a lot of territories. Not just about justice, it's also about the survival of many innocent people. And also it's about breaking Russia's logistics, it's about the return of law and order on these territories, about justice, and it's even beautiful from the practical point of view. A truly nice subtropical climate, diverse history, tasty cuisine, and imagine no rusty Russian military bases. Russians do understand that our special military operations in Crimea get more and more effective with each day. Many experts agree that to return the peninsula is way easier than to return Donetsk and Luhansk, for example, directly connected to the Russian Federation via borders, and they are really big. With Crimea, it's different, and understanding this vulnerability, Russians started building concrete hangars, like shelters for their bombers, because, you know, 1/3 was erased with the beautiful spider web operation, and in our merch shop we have a collection to celebrate that, because that's definitely an operation that has changed the rules of warfare. And another proof why not just Ukraine needs NATO, but NATO needs Ukraine, especially with the results of the surveillance that many countries that were former Soviet republics, were occupied by the communist regime, are in great danger. And remember to join tomorrow for our live stream, where we'll actually talk more about dangers for the Baltics, for example. I love these countries, I care for this country, so let's talk about the threats. And Ukrainian experts now think, will these concrete shelters for the leftovers of the Russian Air Force? Just think about, we've neutralized most of their Black Sea fleet, and the next step is the Russian aviation. That is the only working peace plan. To stop this war, we need to destroy Russia's capacities to destroy the world. It's so smart and so simple. Like it if you agree with me. And yes, we can target those aircraft even if they will be hidden behind concrete walls, because we also develop and quickly improve Ukrainian missiles like Neptune. They can do a lot. Actually, they sunk Moskva warship, and I know you all remember that phrase that Ukrainian guards answered when invaders wanted to make us surrender, so we sank it just a month later. And we also have drones that combine the qualities of missiles like Palanitsa, like Peklo, and if targeted properly, they can bury those aircraft beneath that concrete. And actually, in Crimea, they started building that shelters in December, and nothing happened. Those of you who followed spiderweb operation, remember Russians tried to cover those aircraft, but again it did not help, and 41 gone to hell with the 1 million of the Russian invaders. Yesterday on the Russian National Days, we marked that achievement of the Putin's regime. And another important update came from Moscow. Remember to subscribe to see the collapse of the Kremlin and the liberation of Moscow. From that all, it will take centuries to clean their heads, but in Moscow, Ukrainian drones neutralized facilities that produce electronics for drones, for different other elements of ammunition and warfare. It is located in the science technopark Rezonit, and it's really close to the center of the evil empire. Most importantly, that is the second visit of the Ukrainian drones to the same location in a month. Another object targeted, but that's the proof that even their previous experience does not help Russians to defend strategic for their objects. Russia is totally vulnerable as the classical bully, and there are a lot of things that prove that, starting from the spiderweb operation, sinking Moskva ship, liberating Kherson, liberating Kharkiv region, protecting Kyiv at the very start of the invasion, dozens of their generals neutralized, lots of war criminals found and justice served to them deep inside Russia, and many, many more. And as I've told you yesterday, when in 2022, at the start of the invasion, you would have known that Russia could send 1 million their soldiers to Ukraine, I guarantee you would say that, well, Ukraine cannot stand against such army, they will collapse, they will become a part of Russia, they will be occupied, and look at us now. After 3.5 years of this war, Russia controls less of the Ukrainian territory it did in 2022 and less of the Russian territory it did in 2022. So united we stand. And remember, if we don't want more wars in different, sometimes unpredictable parts of the world across the oceans, all we need is to serve justice to the Kremlin, to defeat and demilitarize them, and to teach the lesson to all those authoritarian evil regimes that are now inspired by escalation management, by weakness, by Trump's speeches, and so on. But I know people are way braver than many of their leaders. That's why I believe in us. Please, let's finish our NEFO campaign today. Less than 1,000 left, and many Ukrainian units will receive trucks and drones because of your kindness and support. Follow me on X, on Blue Sky, on Threads, on Instagram, and join the Discord community. Check our merch shop for lots of good items that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. Remember to join tomorrow 9 p.m. Kyiv for our live conversation. I always love them for this very special atmosphere and a possibility to speak directly to you and with you. And thank you so much for buying me coffees, becoming patrons and sponsors of the channel. That is the blessing and the honor that allows me to film more, to think more, and to write more. Once again, thank you for being friends of mine, friends of Ukraine. United we stand. Slava Ukraini!